Nope, you thought the Vancouver Canucks were done? Just kidding. They have themselves a few moves they did today that I feel were noteworthy enough to make an entire video about because they kind of indicate what the short-term future could look like for a lot of these players, and I think just the conversations we can be having about the potential of what these next few weeks can bring, I think it's pretty important. So let's go over to the Canucks Twitter account and see what the latest scoop on the team was. They posted earlier today at 11 a.m. They have made some transactions. Nic Petan and Sheldon Dries have been placed on waivers for the purpose of being reassigned to Abbotsford. Spencer Martin, Arturs Silovs, Will Lockwood, and Vasili Podkolzin have all been assigned to Abbotsford. Why exactly is this the case? Okay, the season is done. What is the point of sending players down to the Abbotsford Canucks? Heck, even Podkolzin is going there. Well, if you take a look at the AHL standings and you see how exactly the playoff picture is looking, hey, the Abbotsford Canucks have clinched themselves a playoff spot as the third best team in the Pacific Division, and with a few games remaining on the entire AHL campaign, this could be a great opportunity for these guys, of course, Martin, Silovs, Podkolzin, Lockwood, and assuming Dries and Petan if they clear, to head over there and support Abby in its first playoff run. This is a really big deal, actually, and it might not come across like that at first glance, because if you take a look, okay, Petan and Dries, not really the most important guys in the world. Arturs Silovs, Will Lockwood, okay, they had a cup of coffee at the NHL level. Silovs didn't even play. He was just kind of here on an emergency loan. But when you go over to the potential of what a playoff run in Abbotsford could look like for these players, I don't know about you, but I start to get really excited. Mostly because if you take a look at two of the guys that have been playing on the Vancouver Canucks and that have had a significant impact on the Canucks, and I'm talking about Spencer Martin and Vasili Podkolzin, there's a lot of room for these guys to go down there and show themselves off well. For Spencer Martin, you gotta remember, this was a guy that was taken from the Tampa Bay Lightning for future considerations. Jim Benning made that trade sometime before the 2021-2022 season began. And in that time frame, Spencer Martin was just an AHL/ECHL guy. His last stint in Syracuse was pretty meh. He had a .907 save percentage and a .283 goals against in 2020-2021. So when he went over to Vancouver for free, a lot of Canucks fans were saying, okay, this is just a random guy, another player to step in here to add another option. At the NHL, of course, you have Demko and Halak. In the AHL, you have Silovs and DiPietro, but having a third guy that could potentially serve as relief is not a bad thing either, so Spencer Martin, welcome to the team. And lo and behold, his 2021-2022 season with Abbotsford was actually so good that if you take a look at his whole year together with Vancouver and with Abbotsford, the guy has only lost in regulation 4 times in 31 games played. Playing for Abbotsford, he had himself a 19-4-2 record in 25 games, a .243 goals against, and a .914 save percentage, and 3 shutouts. Of course, in the NHL, you can see the numbers right here too, 3-0-3, so starstruck Katy Perry right there. He had a .950 save percentage and a .174 goals against in the 6-game sample he had. And it's so strange to me when I watch Spencer Martin play, because every time he suits up, I always kind of worry a little bit. Okay, this was a guy that wasn't phenomenal last year. This was a guy that got sent down to the ECHL 2 years ago. This is a guy that was playing in Abbotsford the entire year. And then we watch him in the NHL in games against the LA Kings and the Oilers and all that, and we say, darn, this guy's really good. Like, that's not even me just trying to pump his tires because he's a Canuck, but like in the game against Florida, for example. This was a game where they were just absolutely pounding over and over on the goal, trying to get some pucks to go in the back of the net, and Martin was there stopping them all. The only time you could beat this guy is if you take long screen shots, which is what the Oilers did yesterday. Spencer Martin has been so positionally sound, he shuffles his feet very well, and he's got angles on lock that all of a sudden, he's had a few extra games of NHL experience under his belt, and he's going back to the AHL, where he was already a pretty dominant force over there. No disrespect to Arturs Silovs or Michael DiPietro, but Spencer Martin, this is kind of the time where we're going to be seeing him prepare to be a full-time NHL backup next year. He's already got the contract. It's one way. He's going to be making a whole bunch of money, whether he's in the NHL or the AHL, but because of the way the Vancouver Canucks have their goaltending structured, it's pretty much a guarantee that Martin will be that backup. I'm getting huge Jacob Markstrom vibes. When Markstrom was a Utica Comets guy in 2014-15, he was phenomenal when they went to the Calder Cup Finals, and then the next season he was the full-time Vancouver Canucks backup behind Ryan Miller, or whoever the heck the goaltender was in 2016. Yeah, it was Ryan Miller. Good job, me. Pat myself on the back for that one. But Markstrom had that transition period from being the AHL guy to the Vancouver guy. Martin looks like he's going to do the exact same thing. And then when it comes to Vasili Podkolzin, this is going to be even more interesting to me. Because Podkolzin is a guy that we know. We've chronicled the entire story of Podkolzin ever since he was drafted. Before he was drafted, we were still talking about this guy. He was up and down everywhere in Russia, never really had a solidified role on any team, because he was playing on 4 different teams a year. This season, though, with Vancouver, he had 26 points, 79 games, played 14 goals, too. He really started to come alive in the last few weeks here of the regular season. The Podkolzin that we had been seeing as of late is the Podkolzin that we thought we would be seeing in his prime, where he's dictating play, he's rushing to the net, he's making nifty backhand no-look passes through the slot, tape to tape onto Elias Pettersson's stick. He's doing all this crazy stuff because he's finally comfortable. Because he's finally been on a team without jumping around left, right, and center pretty much for the first time in 5 years. All the other teams that he has played for over the past 5 years, spanning back to 2016-17, have been Russian teams, Team Russias, different age groups of Team Russia, KHL, VHL, MHL, Team Russia. It's all over the place for Podkolzin. And so now he's really found his game, and he's going to a hockey league where the hockey is unfortunately worse. If he's good in the NHL, he should have no problems going down to the AHL and actually having a time in the Calder Cup playoffs. This is a player that's been so special for Vancouver the past few weeks that all of a sudden, playing for Vancouver, or for Abbotsford, in the AHL postseason, it's just like what Bruce told Podkolzin the other day. This is going to be great for building his confidence and getting more experience at the pro level. The AHL is also a little bit more physical and a lot more grindy than the NHL is. So if you're a speedy, hard-nosed winger like Podkolzin is, I do think that your playstyle would probably translate to the American Hockey League in a much more seamless way than some of the other transitions he has made from the KHL to the VHL or the MHL and all that stuff, because he's gone through that a ton in the past. I mean, Podkolzin had 7 points in his last 10 games. Sure, his last 5 games he's only had 1 assist, but he has looked really good. And so, if he can carry over that confidence and that strength in his stride and the playmaking, I think Abby Canucks fans are going to be super excited to see what goes down. And heck, I think we're all kind of Abby Canucks fans, right? There's nobody here that's a Canucks or a Vancouver Canucks fan and not an Abbotsford fan, and vice versa, because they're so close by to each other that it's so easy to just make the drive over there and watch the games live. It was sort of difficult with Utica because, hey, they're on the other side of the gosh darn continent, and they had their own fan base that was not really necessarily Canucks fans, but they were just fans of their local team, and now they have another local team that happens to be the New Jersey farm team now, which is sort of where that fan base has latched onto instead, which I don't blame them for. It's just how it goes when you're transferring AHL teams all the time like they do. But when it comes to the rest of the guys, of course, Will Lockwood has had some extended time in Abbotsford. It's going to be good to see him suiting up once more. Sheldon Dries and Nic Petan, assuming they clear, they should be some pretty good additions to the squad too. For Arturs Silovs, he was just a backup option up here. He hasn't really had the best save percentage nor goals against in the Abby Canucks system, an 888 save percentage and a 310 goals against in 10 games played. So not great, but you know, I mean, it was just kind of in Vancouver for that relief option, so it's not really like he was going to get any extended playing time. DiPietro has been okay, though, 905 save percentage and a 285 goals against, but Spencer Martin has been the real up-and-away game saver for the Abby Canucks this season, with his pretty good run that's probably, hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully, going to continue for the next few weeks. So talk to me in the comments all your thoughts about Lockwood, Podkolzin, Silovs, Martin, and potentially Dries and Petan heading down to the Abbotsford Canucks in order to play for them in the postseason. I'm really excited to see Vasili Podkolzin in the playoffs in an Abbotsford Canucks setting because he's really found his game the past few weeks. Let me know in the comments all your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.